Greetings, folks. This is Brian Harris with the Independent Black Voters. Our vote is not free. As we continue our Let's Know the Candidate process for the general election. Folks, it is very important that we are informed voters and we vote for the next election. I continue to tell people, while who is the president is very important, we must be involved in the local. It's not just the state assembly, it's who's our judges, who are our regents, who are school boards. We must take the time to understand who they are. We must give them the opportunity to tell us who they are, what they're doing, what their values and beliefs are. So today, I have a sitting judge here. I want to welcome, it is Judge Susan Johnson that is running. She is running for re-election in Department 22. Susan, welcome and thank you for taking the time to come and talk to the independent Black voters.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Okay, great. So we want you to tell us a little bit about yourself first, then tell us a little bit about, obviously as a sitting judge, what happens in Department 22.
Well, as you've already said, I am Susan Johnson, and I am the sitting judge in Department 22 of the 8th Judicial District Court. I was first elected in 2006 and thereafter re-elected overwhelmingly in 2008 and then 2014. I currently primarily hear civil and constructional defect cases, but I also do hear criminal cases on an overflow basis. The campaign for re-election focuses on my qualifications and experience. And I might note that as an attorney, I held an AV rating, which is the highest possible rating an attorney may receive from Martindale-Hubbell. And as a judge, I have been honored to receive awards for my work on the bench, including that from the chief judge. I've also acted as civil presiding judge, and I might note that I am also overwhelmed and honored by the wide community support I've received for my re-election with organizations as diverse as the Asian American Group, Hispanics in Politics through the AFL-CIO and many other labor unions, as well as police, firefighters, and prosecutors. I do have a full list of endorsements, and if anyone is interested, they can go to www.judgesusanjohnson.com. I consider myself a near native of Clark County, Nevada, having moved here in November of 1963. I graduated from Clark High School in 1977 and UNLV in 1982. I earned my law degree from McGeorge School of Law of the University of Pacific in 1985, and I've been a member of the Nevada and California bars since 1985 and 1986, respectively. I've also been admitted to practice before the United States District Court, District of Nevada, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and of course, the United States Supreme Court. Before my election, I had my own law firm, and my practice included civil litigation, personal injury, domestic or family law, and simple estate planning. I've also acted as arbitrator, and I have actually heard and rendered decisions in over 600 arbitrations. I have also acted as mediator, settlement judge for the Nevada Supreme Court, short trial judge for the 8th Judicial District Court, judge pro tem for the Las Vegas Justice Court, as well as alternate hearing master in child support cases. Well, besides being a judge and lawyer for the past 35 years, I might note that I've been very active in the community. I am a past president of the Howard D. McKibben chapter of the American Inns of Court, the Rotary Club of Green Valley, and the Nevada Rotary Foundation. And I currently I'm currently acting as the District 5300 Foundation Chair, which oversees 63 clubs, ranging from Pasadena to Mesquite. I have also been a member or officer in other organizations, such as the National Association of Women Business Owners and Henderson Chamber of Commerce, just to name a couple. On a personal note, I think you know this, I am married to Judge Eric Johnson. We're one of the very few married district court judges in the United States, and we've been married for over 33 years. We have two terrific adult daughters, Tess and Emma. And as a family, what we do like to do a lot together is travel and run half and whole marathons. I do have 7 marathons under my belt. So yeah, pretty good, huh? But in any event, that's a little bit about me.
Well, great. I mean, very good overview there. So I thank you. Like you said, and I was waiting, as you said, I do know your husband. I do know Eric well from the Shepherd's Breakfast. And, we just interviewed with him. I just interviewed with him not long ago.
I
So,
know.
yeah. So again, I thank you for taking the time to sit and talk to us, because again, we believe here, the independent Black voters, that it is important that we start to know all of the judges and that we understand what their values and beliefs are. So I don't question your credentials and your background and what you have done in the past. So we can get to talking about what's going on right now and talk a little bit more on where you think things are headed, because this issue of systemic racism is very important to me. The fact of the matter is the judges are going to play a key role in helping to combat systemic racism a lot of times. And we know that. And the data shows it, but I don't even have to see the data to see it. Many times when we go into court, we get the short end of the stick. It's even a lot of times when we go in here and it's a civil matter, or if it's a criminal matter. So we're hoping that the judges that are coming in realize there are inherent biases, and hoping that they will be part of the solution to end systemic racism, because we will never, as a country, come together until we realize what's going on and we as a group goes out to fix it. I tell people, and then I'm gonna let you talk, America's only as strong as its weakest link. And
That's true.
they say that by 2053, that Black America will have no wealth in America. So inherently, economically, we are the weakest link. And if you're the weakest link economically, you are going to be dealing with the judicial system in a negative aspect more and more. So I'm going to ask your thoughts on just what do you think is happening today, or what do you think that we need to do from a judicial system? What do you think that is good? Where do you think we need to work on so that we can get fair and equal justice under the law, but also so that we can become a community that heals together and we really become the true America that we envision ourselves to be right now? Okay, a whole lot. So now I'm gonna let you talk again.
I was going to say that is a loaded question there. But I think I'd like to start a little bit with toward the back of what your question was about, what we can do to alleviate the systemic racism and also the poverty issues. Poverty issues, well, bottom line, we need to grow good jobs for the Black Americans. That's one of the big things we got to do right there. And of course, that is tied to the economy. In fact, one thing that you would find is that when we got a great economy, boy, Black poverty goes way down. Of course, when recession hits, it goes way up. So we've got to grow good jobs for the Black community. And we've got to have a national commitment to lowering the poverty rate. I think some of that may involve some taxation, things of that nature, programs for the Black community. In fact, one thing that you had talked about with my husband, I actually watched the show where he talked about Hope for Prisoners, which is what both he and I support with John Ponder, and how he's got this mentoring program to help improve the lives of ex-felons and ex-convicts. Well, you know, I think we need to take that mentoring level to a current level before people start getting into the system, which is when I first see them. Also, we need to make a commitment to fight discrimination in the labor force. I think you probably have noted that you could have two applications, same application from a Black American and a white American, and just naturally the employers are hiring the white American. Well, we've got to get away from that, and we've got to have a national commitment to hire the Black community. So we've got to do what we can to get out of that generational poverty, those kinds of things, to help build up our Black community as opposed to keeping it down. And I hope you are totally off your base with that 2,053 stat. Now, what can judges do? Well, you know, we have to follow the law. We don't make the law. We interpret the law and we apply it. And when we've got a Black American in our courtroom, well, we've got to follow the law. And there's sometimes, of course, we have our discretion as well. And we have to use it sparingly, not abuse it. I don't know what I can say about that. In terms of the criminal aspect, whenever we are sentencing people, I know I personally look at the situation of the individual, the crime. I look at the pre-sentence investigation report. I look at this person's history that's contained in the report. I look at the amount of crimes that they have committed, if they've committed any, to make my decision about how they are going to be adjudged and what sentence will I impose. So I can say I've never seen myself making a decision whether somebody was of color and giving them a heightened sentence or a lower sentence, that kind of thing. So it's difficult for me to talk about what's going on, but in other courtrooms, other states, but I know I do my best to be equal among everybody, so.
Okay, great. And it's funny because, like I said, and I'll come back, your history speaks for itself as far as having a knowledge base. And we vet people, we talk to a lot of people, we get feedback. And I want to go back to a conversation because what I like to do is have conversations that aren't necessarily about the job, especially with the sitting judge, if I believe that overall the concepts are right, but really talking to them because not only are you reflective, your power is in the bench, it is outside and understanding some of the values and beliefs. I believe a lot of people do not really understand what's going on because I always hear people talk about jobs with Black America. Well, there'll be other jobs because the economy is good. We had full employment in slavery. The truth of the matter is what we need is fair, equal opportunity to run our businesses, to hire people who look like us, to be the ones in charge of doing it. And so there is, when you talk about systemic racism, because this may be something that eventually comes out, that, I mean, you look at, we have a lot of what I'll call good old boy systems in place. Just as you said, in the union, the hiring of African Americans is dismal. And a lot of it is, there's a lot of, if you peel back the onion, those are the reasons that many are in poverty and we're dealing with the issues. But also when you look at the way that that jobs are handled out, be it construction industry, be it procurement industry, we're locked out of those opportunities to be owners, to be the people who are working as business owners. So one of the things, and I say this to you because should you win and go forward, we want to be a partner to say, okay, some of the things that people think about with our good intentions don't realize that that's not really the issue. Good jobs, everybody they come to our community and talk about jobs. But the truth of the matter is the person who owns is the person who decides who gets hired. And so we want to break down a lot of the barriers. And again, I'm talking to you because this is not about, okay, tell me whether you're a judge. It's about, okay, you have the experience. You've been a judge. I know you can be a judge. But we want advocates who both inside and outside really understand what's going on with our community. As you said, and there's something I liked what you said, we need to move the bar to the point where we're not helping people after they're in prison to how do we avoid them. And it goes from everything from educational to, as I said, the opportunities to create businesses and do things. So I say that because, again, I could sit here, I'm not the review journal. I could sit here and talk about your qualifications, but you obviously have the qualifications. I'm actually here talking to you about the other side of the road, who you are as a person, and how do we be on how are we on the same team? Because like you said, 2053 probably got accelerated because of COVID-19. 2053 is probably closer now to 2045 or 2040, unfortunately, unless we get everybody on the same page. And it comes to, you know, the judicial system where, again, it's fair and equitable. And there's also a knowledge base of Black people don't want just jobs. We want opportunities to have, to build our businesses, to create generational wealth, because that is from having businesses. Because when you look through the percentages of what goes on when they talk about jobs, they did the mandate and hired more African Americans back in the 1970s, and you look at the percentages of African Americans working on the strip through all levels, it's dismal in all comparison. But diversity-wise, everybody say, "Oh, we have great diversity." And so I talk to you more on the outside of, let me get to know you and let's discuss some things that hopefully will help us understand, even when you come into the courtroom, to understand, and even when you're outside of the courtroom, to advocate changes that might be just a little different than what you're hearing from everybody else. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
I think so, but I'm still trying to figure out what your question is.
Having a question. We're having a dialogue right now.
Okay.
As I said, like I said, I don't question whether you have the credentials to be. I mean, you've been here. We're just having a dialogue now about the whole ideology outside of the role, because I'm more concerned about when I'm interviewing somebody. A is, do they have the competence to do what they do? But B, are they open-minded enough? What are their opinions? And are they open enough to figure out what's going on in our community? Because you're a judge, and we expect you to be fair, and we expect you to be consistent, and we expect you to follow the law of balanced judges. If I felt you were a judge that was imbalance, I wouldn't even be talking to you right now. I'd be just pushing to try to get you removed. But if I believe you have those, then we're really. And I'm going to use Eric as an example. I knew Eric because of the breakfast, but my interview, I actually got to know more about him as a person and his values and beliefs. And I believe he's a person that, from his actions, that he'll talk to any and everybody who is concerned about how do we make this better. And that's what we want out of our judges. We want good judges. We want judges also that understand that they, outside of just being judges, are very instrumental in righting some of the ills that are going on in America today. You all are a voice. Does that make sense? And that's why I'm talking to you about it, because if I can talk to you now about that part, I know what your true beliefs and values are. So it wasn't a question, it was just more of a conversation.
Well, I will say this, that before I became a judge, I was a business owner. I made payroll. That's, you know, the lingo we use, right? Yeah. I made payroll, and I certainly understand what is going on as a business owner out there. As a judge, I have had the opportunity and do hire folks of all colors, but frankly, I don't hire them because of their color. I hire them because they're the best. Mm-hmm. And it just happened that 2 of my staff members, I have 6, my first 2 were Black Americans. Mm-hmm. They're not with me anymore because they got promoted up. They're good, all right? I have had a Black law clerk, Asian law clerks. I've got a Hispanic court reporter. So I hire because they're best, and I have helped, like the law clerk I was telling you about. Boy, it seems like every few years she needs a letter of recommendation. Of course, you know, it doesn't take me long to pin that and help her. Mm-hmm. I also like to think that I help the community quite a bit, not only through Rotary, but also I've done things like, you heard Eric talk about working with Bobby and Sandy Ellis in the community, mm-hmm. where we go out and give Christmas gifts and shoes and cash to some of these schools. Mm-hmm. You know, we've helped Ronaldo Martinez Elementary, primarily Hispanic children go there. Mm-hmm. Nate Mack Elementary, as you know, the majority of the students there are Black Americans. Mm-hmm. We've been to Sandy Valley and Good Springs and Laughlin, Lincoln County. We've spoken to CO Bastion kids there to try and mentor them to get out of that system that they're in, because they're already starting to go into that downhill slide, and we want to help them get out of that. Eric and I also, as he had pointed out, we both work with John Ponder, and we love to swear in these ex-felons or ex-cons to become good citizens. That's probably the most favorite thing that I do to help the community. And it's not just the Black community, it is everybody. But I will say there's quite a few of the Black Americans in that group. But those are the things we do. You build people up to help. And I like to think that that's who I am. In fact, whenever I was a little kid, my mom commented that I would be I was the A student and I'd be friends with a C or D student, and I would not go down to their level. I'd bolster them up to the B, work with them, study with them, and that kind of stuff. That's who I am. I believe in community service, and I've been involved with community service since I was a teenager.
Okay.
That's who I am.
Great, great. See, that's what I wanted to talk about, you know, and that's what it's important here. I told you we're not the Review Journal. We know you have the credentials. I mean, you've been here long enough. Your credentials speak for themselves. We want to know you as a person. One of the things I'm going to invite you to do, I've been inviting the folks who are running, is the Independent Black Voters on Facebook. We have over 1,800 people, but we're very diverse. It's not only Black people, it's a little bit everybody. It's Republicans, it's Democrats, it's Libertarians, it's Black, it's white, it's Hispanic, but our issues are trying to stay focused on what's going on in the Black community. We are tied to various other groups, and we probably reach tens of thousands of people when it's all said and done. I encourage you, we want to know who you are. Like I say, not just your credentials, just like we talked at here. Come on, take a minute, rant, tell people who you are, talk about issues, and let us know where your thoughts are on what's happening today. Let us know what you think, because that will get our vote ahead of anything else, because we look for, treat us with respect. Black folks, people, it's funny, they don't realize it, but we are probably more of a law and order person than anybody else. But we want equal law and order. We are people that we don't want so much of an advantage. We just want to stop all the disadvantages from happening. We want a fair and equal playing field. And if we have people who are willing to talk to us and to really engage our community, we're more inclined to vote for them. And that's what we're doing here, is letting us know, you taking your hair down and letting us know who you are outside of the judge. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Well, like I said, this is the first of a series. What I would do, I'm going to ask you, make sure you have joined, and make sure you take a time every now and then to put a rant out. We are doing our vetting. We are going through to see who are the best candidates, and then we are going to endorse the candidates. By the latest, I've endorsed Eric already, because he had history and I know exactly what he brings to the table. We're going to continue to look and take a few more things, and probably have you do another, I'll probably just do another talk or discussion, and I have some other people that I brought in. But I thank you for taking the time. It means a lot that sitting judges will take the time to talk to our group. And it means a lot that they see the value of talking to the independent Black voters. I don't ask people, when I say this, I don't ask them, the judges are supposed to be nonpartisan. So I don't ask them what affiliation they are. I ask them things that are you balanced and nonpartisan? Because I believe there are certain things that you have to take off your everything else and be what it is. And that is nonpartisan, not affiliated, not making decisions based on my group, but making decisions that are right for the community as a whole. So I thank you that. So here's what I'm gonna do. You get to give everybody your contact information again, give them a quick 1-minute spiel again about why they need to vote for you. I'm going to end this for today, and then we can continue this a little further down the line, okay?
I hope so. You gave more airtime to Eric.
Oh, trust me, you're gonna get some more airtime.
Well, I would have to say I've got one opponent, and the reason you should vote for me as opposed to my opponent is, number one, I've got the most experience of between the two of us, and in various areas of the law. In fact, almost every area of the law. Whereas I think that my opponent's experience is quite limited, mainly to criminal, whereas I've got civil as well as criminal background. In terms of how to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me at www.susanjohnson.com. And that's where you can get a hold of me. And also my cell number is 702-496-7302. And I do take calls. Oh, no, you better sit down. I'm sorry, I've got my dogs in here.
Okay.
Anyway, I am the most experienced. I've got 14 years on the bench. I've done a very good job on the bench. I'm one of the more hardworking judges, I think. And I enjoy my job. And I do enjoy working with the community. This is my home. I'm not going anywhere. And I just love Nevada. Isn't it cool?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay. Well, like I said, I thank you. As I said, Judge Johnson, we will have you back on again. Don't worry, you'll get more time. It's funny, you'll get more time because we want to know you. And so I've got a couple things in the future set up, and I will definitely reach back out to you to do that. I want to say this in closing. I say this, Black power is a three-legged stool requiring social justice, economic might, and our political agenda. Not the Republicans, not the Democrats, but ours. When you don't vote, you abdicate your power. When you vote, you strengthen your power. You have a voice. If you don't vote, don't complain. If you're not an educated voter, don't complain. I challenge everybody to take the time to look at this series of Know Your Candidates. I challenge you to basically twist the arms of your family members, your friends, everybody you know, to take a little bit of time to vet these candidates yourself, to look at what they say, and then determine which ones are best for you and your community. Because our vote is not free. Our voice is not silent. When we vote, and when we take the time to be educated voters. I thank you, Judge Susan Johnson. I appreciate your time. Time is always valuable, and especially for judges. I thank you for coming to the Independent Black Voters and giving us the time to start to get to know you.
Thank you.
All right, hold on.